Hey everybody, 𝘳𝘢𝘱𝘦 here, and even though I lost my voice at the Abolition Day rally at the state capitol on Tuesday, I am back reporting to you all about something insane that happened today, or a few insane things that happened today at the Oklahoma State Capitol, where there was a bill up for consideration. This bill is SB 834. It's being filed by Julie Daniels, who is a pro-life state representative, a pro-life Republican from Bartlesville, and she has put forward Senate Bill 834. And so let's listen to her explain her purpose for filing this bill.
The purpose of this bill is to organize, make more consistent and clear and uniform the different definitions and exceptions surrounding all of our pro-life laws in Oklahoma.
So there you have it from Senator Daniels. Her purpose for this bill is to make clear, consistent, and uniform Oklahoma state laws on the topic of abortion. Now, what she means by that is that there were 3 abortion bans that were passed last year, 2 of which did not contain an exception for the cases of rape and incest, 1 of which did contain exceptions for rape and incest. And so what Julie Daniels is doing is she's writing a bill that takes the rape and incest exceptions from what was House Bill 4327 and putting it into what used to be Senate Bill 1555 and Senate Bill 612, which do not currently have rape exceptions. So she's taking the one area of law that does have rape exceptions and making it uniform across all other areas of Oklahoma law that does not currently contain rape exceptions. Now, the effect of that, right now, you cannot perform surgical abortions in Oklahoma. You have to order pills online to your house and perform them yourselves, and we'll be reporting more on that in the coming days and weeks here. However, Planned Parenthoods are shut down and other abortion facilities are closed in Oklahoma. Now, this bill would allow them to reopen to perform abortions in the cases of rape and incest. Further than that, this bill would get rid of the law, which in Oklahoma is not being enforced but does exist in the law. That is Statute 63-1-733, which prohibits self-managed abortion in the state of Oklahoma. So this bill would legalize surgical abortions performed for rape and incest. That's when an abortionist goes into the uterus with clamps and rips the child out of the womb one limited time, crushes the skull, and sucks the brain out through a vacuum. That would become legal again in Oklahoma in the cases of rape and incest. A bill like this, you would think maybe it's something authored by Planned Parenthood to try to get a few exceptions back into Oklahoma state law, but you would be wrong. My wife and I sat in the Senate HHS Committee hearing this morning, and in behind us walks Tony Lauinger. Now, those of you who know Tony Lauinger know that he's the Vice President of National Right to Life and the President of Oklahomans for Life. He has long been an opponent of the Abolition of Abortion in Oklahoma Act, and he comes in right behind us and sits in the committee hearing and listens to the bill being heard, and even being rather cynical and not thinking very highly of Tony Lauinger, my thought was he's probably in here not in support of this bill. I don't think he would go this far. You know, I would think maybe National Right to Life, they're very pragmatic, incrementalist. I didn't think that National Right to Life was actually of the principled position that preborn children should be allowed to be violently, brutally murdered based on the circumstances of their conception. I did not think that that was actually the position of National Right to Life, even as cynical about National Right to Life as I am. But as Tony Lauinger gets up and walks away and walks out of the committee hearing, my wife and I follow him out the door, and I just ask him in the hallway, hey Tony, my name is James. What is Oklahomans for Life's position on the bill that just passed, SB 834? And Tony tells me, well, we support this bill, and what we need to do is create durable laws that can withstand, the misinformation of the left and the following the overturn of Roe and these sorts of things. And so we have to put these things in there to create a more durable pro-life law, basically, is Tony Launger's position. And that is how he explains putting exceptions for the murder of children conceived in rape and incest into Oklahoma law that do not currently exist in Oklahoma law. So what you have here is a pro-abortion bill being carried by a pro-abortion Republican politician from Bartlesville, a very rural, pro-life, anti-abortion area. And the one behind all of this, the one who was down at the Capitol yesterday, dropping off memos to the legislators on the HHS committee, whipping up votes, telling them to vote in favor of this bill to bring more abortion back to Oklahoma, to reopen the abortion facilities around our state. The man behind that has nothing to do with Planned Parenthood. He has nothing to do with 𝘬𝘯𝘳 or the Democratic Party. It is none other than the Vice President of National Right to Life, Tony Lauinger. The group behind this bill at the Capitol, lobbying for its passage, persuading pro-life Republican senators to vote in favor of this wickedness, is none other than National Right to Life. And the way that Tony Lauinger and Senator Julie Daniels explain this bill is they're just cleaning up Oklahoma statutes, organizing it, making it more clear. And that is their talking point. We're just clearing things up, making it easier to understand, to defend the reality of they are bringing wide open abortion facilities back to Oklahoma. That is their agenda. After I was done talking to Tony in the hallway, I made the rounds of a few of the offices of some of the state senators who voted in favor of the bill, some of the pro-life Republican state senators. And when I talked to one of the aides of a state senator, when I told her the bill passed, she seemed surprised. And then when I followed that up with your boss, the legislator she works for, voted in favor of this bill, she could not believe it. She told me that when he left her office in the morning, he intended to vote against SB 834. So sometime in between him leaving his office that morning and him arriving at Senate HHS later in that morning, pressure was applied. I've been trying to pursue some different avenues, trying to figure out where that pressure is coming from. Was it Lauinger who persuaded him? Was it another state senator? Was it men higher up than state senators? Someone in an executive office in Oklahoma? I don't yet know where exactly the pressure came from at the last minute that persuaded even people who I would think would be, the consistent anti-abortion conservative people who you would think might vote against an outright pro-abortion bill like this. Even they voted for it, intending to vote against it based on pressure that was applied at the last minute. We will continue pursuing those avenues, trying to figure out where that pressure is coming from, and we will certainly learn more in the coming days. This is a bill which we have had conversations, members of our staff have had conversations with Senate leadership about, and we have been told that at least one very prominent member of Senate leadership does not support this bill as of Tuesday. And so we will see how things go from here. But what we know is that there is a pro-abortion bill planning to open up the abortion clinics of Oklahoma once again, planning to completely legalize the practice of ordering pills to your home and murdering the child in the comfort of your own home, which is already happening, but we're seeing an attempt to actually get rid of the statute so that it wouldn't be able to be enforced under statute. And so we have an outright pro-abortion bill, again, that is being passed by Tony Lauinger, the Vice President of National Right to Life and the Director of Oklahomans for Life. Now, this is the part of the video where I need your help. Moments like this are the moments when eyes of well-meaning pro-life people are opened. When we, with Free the States or other abolitionists or abolitionist groups, talk about the depravity of the pro-life leaders, this is what we're talking about. And when that depravity is put most clearly on full display for everyone to see is when well-meaning pro-life people, they don't know that the pro-life groups that they're sending their money to, who they think are fighting to abolish abortion, are actually fighting to keep it legal, are actually fighting to reopen the Planned Parenthoods of Oklahoma, once again to allow for the brutal murder of preborn children. This is truly, truly evil, wicked stuff that the pro-life movement is doing. And when they expose themselves this clearly, this is where we need your help to get the word out. Now, everything I've said about Tony Lauinger is based on the conversation that I had with him face-to-face about an hour ago. If anything I'm saying is untrue, National Right to Life can feel free to correct me. But I think what we're going to see instead is more memos delivered from Oklahomans for Life and National Right to Life at our state capitol asking the legislators to support more abortion in Oklahoma. That is their agenda. Preborn children need well-meaning pro-lifers to leave the pro-life establishment, to take all of your money from it, to make sure that all of your friends know what the pro-life establishment is doing, that they are the ones standing in the way of bills to completely abolish abortion and have been for years, and that now surgical abortion is illegal in Oklahoma, and they're fighting to add exceptions even to that. We are seeing a wicked, wicked agenda. Now, SB 834 is not the only reason that we have interest in proceedings of the Oklahoma State Capitol at the moment. There are three other bills that we have our eye on, one of which is Senate Bill 402. This is the bill that would completely abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma. It's been filed by Warren Hamilton, who has been our champion up at the state capitol ever since he was elected in 2020. Senate Bill 402 is also in the Senate Health and Human Services Committee. It has not yet been scheduled for a hearing, and so we need to put pressure on Committee Chairman Paul Racino to bring up Senate Bill 402 for a hearing. So make sure to be watching for our Facebook page for different updates about SB 402, and please send an email. If you're watching this, please send an email to paul.racino@oksenate.gov. asking him to put SB 402 on the agenda for next week's HHS committee hearing. Now, we are interested in Senate Bill 402. I was just up there trying to get co-authors on it. Our political director, Tim Gillespie, is still up there right now. as I record this, trying to get co-authors on it. We also have interest in 2 other bills that were heard in today's Senate HHS Committee hearing. Those 2 bills are both by Jessica Garvin, another pro-life Republican state senator from rural Oklahoma, who has filed 2 different bills which would change the definition of abortion in the Oklahoma state codes to provide explicit protection for abortifacient birth controls. Now, I say abortifacient birth controls because the pill and the patch and the IUD and so many of the most common hormonal birth control methods do cause abortions. Look up Does the Pill Cause Abortions by Randy Alcorn, a really great pamphlet that he put together. But it has 3 mechanisms real quick. The first one is to prevent ovulation, but that's not always successful. It usually is, but not always. The second mechanism is to increase the mucus in the cervix, which would prevent sperm from making it through, but that doesn't always work. And when those 2 don't work, there's a third mechanism. And that third mechanism is to thin the lining of the uterus, is to thin the endometrium and make it impossible for an embryo, this new human life that's being created, to implant in the walls of the uterus where that new human life is supposed to implant. And so there's no way to know how many abortions have been caused by these sorts of abortifacient birth controls. But what we do know is that they are happening. Babies are dying in this manner. Jessica Garvin has filed 2 different bills that would provide explicit protections in Oklahoma law for all of these different pills. So I need you to get the word out. Please share this video, share it with your friends, share it with anyone you think might support a pro-life establishment organization, and let them know that there is an abolitionist movement calling for the abolition of abortion, and there is the pro-life movement who is fighting not to abolish abortion. And in this case, the most influential pro-life group in the entire movement that has been running the show since the beginning is actually fighting to reopen abortion clinics in the state of Oklahoma. Let's get the word out. Let's put an end to national right to life. Let's put an end to Oklahomans for life. It's time to stop the deception, to stop the wickedness, to stop the bloodshed. It's time to abolish abortion, and an important step of that is making sure that none of your friends ever support Oklahomans for life and national right to life ever again. Thank you so much for listening to this update. You'll be hearing more from us as SB 834 goes throughout the process. We are hoping to stop it, whether it be on the floor of the Senate or whether it be we have to marshal our allies in the House against this bill. We will be working all along the process to oppose this thing, but Oklahomans for Life is supporting it, and that makes this a difficult task because there are so many pro-life people who support national right to life and Oklahomans for Life without knowing what they're really doing. So again, please help get the word out. Please go to freethestates.org/donate, become a supporter of Free the State so that our influence can outmatch the influence of Tony Lauinger, an evil, wicked, just truly despicable, and I'll just say satanic. I think it's a satanic agenda of the pro-life establishment groups who are worse than the pro-abortion groups in that they take the money and resources of Christians who think they're helping get rid of abortion and are using that money to bring abortion back to Oklahoma, to bring more abortion into Oklahoma. And to help get the word out, support Free the States. Thank you guys so much for watching.